Let me tell you something most men completely misunderstand. Touch is never just touch. Not to a woman, not emotionally, not psychologically, and definitely not biologically. A lot of men think physical contact is simple. You touch her arm, you hold her hand, you put a hand on her waist, and that's it. But that is not how women experience it. Because when a woman allows touch, her body is not just registering contact, it is reading intention, it is reading energy, it is reading safety. And all of that happens before she consciously explains any of it to herself. That is why two men can touch the exact same place and create two completely different reactions. One feels safe, grounded, wanted. The other feels awkward, intrusive, off. And most men have no idea why. They think attraction is about where you touch, but it's not. It's about what the touch communicates, and that is what most men never learn. A woman's body has layers of comfort, layers of trust, layers of permission, and every time she lets you closer into one of those layers, she is communicating something, not always with words, but very clearly through her nervous system. Today I'm going to give you the full map, zone by zone, what different types of touch actually mean, what they do not mean, and the one specific area most men misunderstand more than anything else, because they think it signals sexual permission, but it doesn't. It signals emotional trust. And once you understand that, you stop acting like a man trying to force a moment and start becoming the kind of man a woman naturally relaxes around. If you've ever felt like you were getting signals but couldn't decode them, stay with me, because by the end of this, you will read these moments very differently. First, understand this. Women don't experience touch the way men think they do. For most women, touch is emotional, neurological, and deeply associative. A touch can feel calming or alarming, welcoming or invasive, grounding or pressuring, and the difference is often invisible to the man creating it. That's why so many men ruin good moments, not because she wasn't open, but because his energy was wrong, too fast, too soon, too entitled, too disconnected. A woman may smile and still tense internally. She may stay polite and still not feel safe. She may allow something socially while her body is already closing. That is why physical access means nothing without emotional alignment. You cannot judge attraction based on whether she allowed something. You have to read context, timing, body language, her response after, and whether her body softens or tightens. That is the real language. And once you understand it, everything changes. The first zone is arms and shoulders. This is neutral ground. If a woman lets you touch her arm or shoulder, it usually means she does not perceive you as a threat, which is important, but it is not the same as attraction. This is where many men get ahead of themselves. A light touch on the arm during laughter, a hand on the shoulder, a playful tap, these exist in the social zone, friendly, open, comfortable, not necessarily romantic. What matters is not just the touch, but the reaction. Does she stay relaxed, lean slightly in, continue naturally? Or does she subtly pull back, stiffen, or create space? That is the information. This zone is where she evaluates your energy. Are you calm, respectful, self-controlled? Or do you treat a small moment like a big green light? The man who can handle this level without rushing feels safer than the man who tries to escalate immediately. And safety is attractive. The second zone is hands and wrists. This is more personal. Hands connect, express, guide, reveal confidence or hesitation, and wrists are even more sensitive. Thin skin, pulse, vulnerability. That is why women are aware of who touches them there and how. But what matters is whether it happened naturally, whether it was welcomed, whether she returned the energy. A connection that builds gradually feels warm and charged. A connection that is forced feels awkward. That is the difference between invitation and imposition. Many men focus on the move, but the real difference is in the build, the brief brush, the shared moment, the pause, the earned contact. That is what creates chemistry. Not force, but possibility. And possibility is powerful. The third zone is waist and lower back. This is more intimate territory, not automatically sexual, but clearly more personal. A hand at the waist or lower back carries meaning because it involves guidance, closeness, and trust. Context is everything. Moving through a space, walking together, standing close. In the right moment, this touch can feel grounding, protective, confident. But in the wrong moment, it feels invasive. That is why calibration matters. It's not just, did he touch me, but did it feel natural, respectful, aware? A woman comfortable here may lean in, stay close, move with you instead of away. That does not mean ownership, it means she is not resisting your presence. The difference is subtle, but powerful. The fourth zone is neck and face. This is highly selective territory. The neck is vulnerable. The face is deeply personal. Identity, emotion, expression. When a woman welcomes touch here, it signals a deeper level of trust than most men realize. But this is also where mistakes are costly. These are not zones for testing or trying your luck. They are for moments that are already warm, calm, and mutual. A soft touch near the cheek. A strand of hair moved gently. These can feel incredibly intimate, not because they are aggressive, but because they are personal. And women instantly feel the difference between emotional presence and performance, between tenderness and pressure, between grounded intention and forced interaction. That difference happens in seconds, which is why restraint is attractive. The man who waits for the moment feels safer than the man who tries to create it artificially. And now the most misunderstood zone, her hair. Many men assume hair is just physical, but for many women it is deeply connected to identity, femininity, comfort, and emotional regulation. Women touch their own hair when they are thinking, feeling, calming themselves, flirting, processing. So when someone else touches it, it becomes very personal. When a woman allows this naturally, it is not a signal of ownership. It is a signal of trust, of softening, of letting her guard down. If her body relaxes, if her expression softens, if her energy shifts, that is not random. That is her nervous system moving toward comfort, and comfort is powerful. But understand this clearly. Hair touch does not create trust. Trust is what allows that moment to happen. That distinction changes everything. And now the most important part. What matters more than the zone is her reaction after the touch. Because a woman can allow something socially and still not want more. So the real question is not, did she let you, but what happened afterward? Did she soften, stay close, relax, lean in, continue naturally? Or did she tense, create distance, shift tone, self-soothe, or withdraw slightly? That is the real map, not body parts alone, but response combined with context. Once you understand this, you stop reading women like puzzles and start reading them like human beings with boundaries, signals, and emotional awareness. The biggest mistake men make is not touching too little, but reading too much into too little. A small signal becomes a big assumption, and that is where everything collapses. Because women feel when a man's mind jumps ahead of reality, when he stops being present and starts chasing an outcome. And that introduces pressure, and pressure kills softness. That is why the most attractive men are the least rushed. They observe, calibrate, respond. They don't force, they don't cling, they let things unfold naturally. That is confidence, not escalation. The real takeaway is this. Physical contact is not a tool of conquest. It is a silent conversation about trust, safety, chemistry, and emotional comfort. Not just where you touch, but how, when, why, and what your energy feels like. If your touch feels rushed, she feels it. If it feels needy, she feels it. If it feels grounded and calm, she feels that too, and that is what she remembers. Because in the end, what stays with her is not the move, but how she felt around you. Whether she felt pressure or peace, awkwardness or warmth, tension or safety. That is the difference between a man she forgets and a man whose presence lingers. So stop chasing one perfect move. That is the wrong mindset. Start learning the real language instead. Timing, energy, trust, response. Because that is what actually changes everything. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, because in the next video, I'm going to break down the signals women give when they feel real attraction, but try not to show it too clearly. And once you understand that, you'll stop missing what's right in front of you.